Hello everyone, welcome back to Learn Arabic. I hope you are doing well. Today's lesson is all about a new diacritic called Shaddah, i.e. double letter. By the end of this mini-series, you'll be familiar with all the aspects and characteristics of this new diacritic. So without any further delay, let's begin by defining Shaddah. And please don't worry about last week's homework. We will push it back until the end of this lesson. So, Shaddah is a W-looking diacritic that is always placed on top of the letter to indicate that the gemination is going to be taking place. It is functionally equivalent to writing the same consonant twice. In fact, Shaddah represents two of any letter. Be careful, it has to be the same letter. Instead of writing the same letter twice, we just write it once and put Shaddah on top of it. Of course, these two letters have to meet certain conditions in order to be combined with the Shaddah, but let's not hasten, we will eventually get there. As soon as we put this W-looking diacritic on top of a letter, we are saying that the letter itself is doubled up, which makes Shaddah a repetition sign indicating that the letter to which it is attached will be doubled up. Terminology-wise, some teachers describe Shaddah as a sign of emphasis, since the word Shaddah literally means to join with strength. When a letter is in conjunction with the Shaddah, it is called mushaddad or mushaddada. It depends on the context. For example, حرف مشدد تاء مشددة. Let's now move on to the conditions of Shaddah. As mentioned earlier, Shaddah consists on doubling up the same letter, but not every double letter can be combined with the Shaddah. Here we have the verb تتابع, which means to happen consecutively. Even though the letter ta has been used twice, we cannot combine these two letters into one ta with Shaddah. The reason why? Shaddah consists on doubling up the same letter. The first letter has to be in conjunction with the sukoon, and the second one has to be in conjunction with the movement mark, either a short vowel or a double vowel. It's a must, and there is no exceptions. In order to keep things simple, we are only going to explain Shaddah with short vowels in this first lesson. In other words, we are going to work on Shaddah with Fathah, Kasrah, and Dhammah. And the first question that comes to mind here is, does Shaddah have a movement mark? Well, the answer is yes. Shaddah will always have a movement mark written on top of it, and this movement mark always belongs to the second letter of the couple. Let's start with the first combination. As you can see, Fathah is placed on top of the Shaddah, and it represents the vowel of the second letter. Moving on to Shaddah with Kasrah. I need your full attention here, please. As you can see, Kasrah can be written right underneath the Shaddah or under the letter itself. But Shaddah will always stay on top of the letter. It will never be on the bottom. When it comes to computer font, you will only find Kasrah written right underneath the Shaddah. Last but not least, Shaddah with Dhamma. As you can tell, Dhamma is placed on top of the Shaddah, and that will always be the case, and it represents the short vowel that is in conjunction with the second letter. So, as a summation, we would say that Shaddah always comes with a movement mark, and that is the one in conjunction with the second letter of the couple. Computer font-wise, Fatha and Dhamma will always be placed on top of the Shaddah, while Kasrah will be placed right underneath the Shaddah, but still on top of the letter. Now it's time to see how Shaddah is pronounced. Let's begin our new section by answering this question. Does Shaddah have a specific sound, i.e., a sound on its own? Well, even though Shaddah is a diacritic used to alter the pronunciation, thus the meaning of a word or a sentence, Shaddah by itself doesn't have a specific sound. It is only a repetition symbol that indicates that a gemination is going to be taking place. In other words, the pronunciation of Shaddah will follow the sound of the letter that has been doubled up. Let's sound out a couple of words with Shaddah in order for you to understand it better. Our first example is the word, or more specifically the particle, inna. Listen carefully, please. Inna. If we want to break down this word, the spelling will look like this. Don't forget that a double letter is the same letter repeated twice, once with sukoon and once with a movement mark. And since the movement mark that comes with Shaddah always belongs to the second letter, our second noon should be the one carrying it. Now, since sukoon sounds like as if we are pronouncing the first letter of the name of the alphabet, for noon it will be N. The combination of these three letters will be inna. I'm going to go slowly first and then step by step translate to the normal speed. Inna, inna, inna. I hope you've got it. And now for our second example. If you still remember, in one of our previous lessons, we highlighted the ability of diacritics to change the meaning of a word and, as a result, a sentence. Time has come to prove that. This is the verb to study in Arabic, darasa. As you can see, we have a fatha on top of each letter. On the other hand, we have the verb دروس. Listen carefully, please. دروس. دروس means he taught. A tiny change, but a very big difference, isn't it? And that's the power of diacritics. Now let's break down this verb, shall we? We are going to apply the same steps as the previous example. دروس. As usual, I'm going to go slowly first and then translate to the normal speed. دروس. 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 I think you've got the hang of it. That's about it. We didn't finish this mini-series yet. In our next lesson, we are going to study Shaddah with tanween. And I have to admit that Shaddah with tanween is often neglected when teaching Shaddah. That's why we have decided to shed the light on it. We will also discuss some special notes regarding Shaddah, just like the way we did with tanween, and we will finish it all with a couple of exercises. But before ending this lesson, let's solve last week's homework. In the first exercise, you have been asked to complete the words with the right option to match the pronunciation. Let's read the options. رن. 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 As we have mentioned in the mini-series that we did about tanween, tanween sounds like as if we are pronouncing a single vowel, فتحة, كسرة, or ضمة, and following it with an N sound. In this particular case we have رن, رن, رن. That's pretty straightforward. Now I want you to listen carefully to the words and recognize the ending syllables. سفر, مطر, بشر. One more time. سفر, مطر, بشر. This is also as simple as the first part. سفر ends with a re sound joined to an N, and that's the sound of double كسرة, i.e. تنوين الكسر. So the right option is the second one. Moving on. مطر ends with a ru sound joined to an N, and that's the sound of double ضمة, i.e. تنوين الضم. So the right option is the third one. Last but not least, بشر ends with a ra sound joined to an N, and that's the sound of double فتحة, i.e. تنوين الفتح. So the right option is the first one, obviously. See how simple this is? Well done, everyone. Let's move on to our second exercise. Now it's all about the spelling of تنوين الفتح, and more specifically, whether we should be adding an alif or not. As you can see, The only difference between each couple is the alif at the end, and that's the alif of تنوين الفتح. As we all know, تنوين الفتح always comes with an alif. That's a general rule, but there is 3 exceptions to this rule. There will be no alif in تنوين الفتح if the last letter of the word is a تا مربوطة, or if the last letter of the word is a hamza preceded by an alif, or if the last letter of the word is a hamza written on top of an alif, i.e. using alif as a chair. So, these are our 3 exceptions. For a full explanation, please refer back to the previous series. The link is on the screen. Let's now begin with our first couple. The question here is, should we add another alif right after the hamza when there is already an alif preceding it? And that's what our second exception is all about. The answer has already been given in our quick recapitulation. Since the hamza of حذاء is already preceded by an alif, there is no need to add another one. See how simple this is? So, the correct option is the second one. Let's move on to the second couple. Now we are dealing with تا مربوطة. As previously stated in our first exception, if the last letter of a word is تا مربوطة, there is no need to add an alif with تنوين الفتح. So, the correct option is the first one. Moving on to our second to last couple. As you can see, this is another example with تا مربوطة. The only difference is the spelling of تا مربوطة. For more details about the spelling, please go back to our lesson Joining Arabic Letters Easily number 4. The link will be on the screen. Now, it's obvious that we are going to get back to our first exception. And since there is no alif in تنوين الفتح when the last letter of the word is a تا مربوطة, the correct option is the second one. Last but not least, our final couple is نبأ, written twice. In this particular case, Hamza is using alif as a chair, and whenever Hamza is sitting comfortably on an alif, she will no longer ask for another one. I think our correct option is obvious, isn't it? It's the first one. Well done, everyone. We have just finished solving our homework. You should be proud of yourselves. That's it for today's lesson. Try to listen to it as much as possible and don't forget to practice. It's crucial. I hope you will have an awesome week ahead and see you in our next lesson. مع السلامة.